Good evening. Welcome. I am excited to be here talking to you this evening about tips and tools to love yourself to health and wealth. And I really did say that. Love yourself to health and wealth. Now, I know some of you may shake your head and go, yeah, right, okay. But I'm here to tell you that loving yourself will bring you health and wealth. I am an example of that, and certainly the people that I work with, people that I know, are doing that. They are loving themselves to health and wealth. And as always on my lives, if there's something that you want to say, you want to ask questions, you want to make a comment, you want to know more, feel free to type in the comments. Let me know that you're here, and I'm happy to answer questions. If for some reason not in the live, I will get back to you for sure. But this is a great time that, yeah, if you have questions about anything that I'm talking about or anything that you've heard me talk about, feel free to make comments and, again, ask your questions. So one of the reasons that I wanted to hold this live on this particular topic is because, well, for years now, I have been building a practice in North Carolina, and I have been focusing on health. Obviously, I went to school for a lot of years to become a doctor, to, well, help myself and to help people like you regain their health, connect to their health, enhance, improve their health. And what I have discovered on my own journey to, well, to be living a life that, well, I really love, that I really enjoy, that continues to grow and be enhanced, and dreams are coming true in a way that, well, on some level, I only hoped for. So, again, love yourself to health and wealth. And the tip that I want to start off with sharing tonight is one that was pivotal for me. It literally led to a transformation on how I viewed health, how I viewed, well, how I was moving through my day, how I was creating my life, or in that case, not creating my life, and how I thought that there were all these things that I had to do to build a practice. There were all these, yeah, these long to-do lists of everything that I had to do and everything that I had to say to myself and to people who were coming in for care for them to achieve health. And what I've come to discover over the years that I have been focusing on health, certainly my own and for people who come in for care, is the number one tool. Make yourself your priority. And now, if you scoff at that or say, oh, I already do, there's more to it than that. It requires consistency. It requires, well, consistency of thought, consistency of action, and, well, consistency not just in what you think, but what you're doing, what you're saying, what you put on your schedule, what you put in your body. Hey, Cal, welcome. It requires you to look at yourself in a different way. Now, one of the things that I did, well, I don't even remember how many years ago now, it was more than 5, is I realized that I had to make myself my number one priority. That I could not share with people. Hey, Karen, welcome. I couldn't share with people that it was important for them to take steps, take actions, to take care of their health if I was not doing that as well. Now, of course, at that time I was doing some things to take care of myself, but if I looked at my schedule, if I looked at where I was spending my money, if I looked at, well, decisions I was making for myself, in a 24-hour day, certainly in a week, if I looked at everything that I did, everything that I thought, what I realized is I was not my priority. That I was putting my practice first. I was putting people in my practice first. Now, if you're in my practice, you might think like, oh, that's great. But if I'm not taking care of myself to my best of my ability, then I'm not at my best to provide service to others. Or I'm not at my best to, well, care for people in my family, to support others. Nothing I do can be at its best if I'm not taking care of myself to my best. So I would say the number one tip and tool that really started to transform things for me is when I made myself my priority. Now, I listened to a video some months back, and if people are interested, you can let me know. I'll find it and share it in the comments for this video. But that video, the woman speaking in it was talking about being selfish versus being self-full. Because one of the questions that was often brought to her is, how do I put myself first? That's selfish. Or I've got to take care of so-and-so, or I've got my kids to take care of, my husband to take care of, my wife to take care of. I've got work to take care of. I've got all these responsibilities and all these expectations, and I just don't have time to take care of myself. And I loved this woman's story, this woman's take on it. And certainly something that I've come to believe, something that I've come to share, and that is, you've got to, hey Anna, welcome. You've got to fill your cup first. I'm sure you've probably heard the saying that our life overflows, or my cup overflows. And it's usually a person who is expressing that good things are happening in their lives, happening for them, that they feel blessed, that they're grateful, that, yeah, they're pretty happy with their current circumstances. And what this woman who was speaking in this video expressed was, it's great if we're living from an overflowing cup. That's being self-full. Self-full being taking care of yourself first. It's not selfish, it's self-full. And what she went on to explain is that everything in the cup, we absolutely do want to live from an overflowing cup, because everything in the cup is for us. And then everything that overflows is for those around you, for your responsibilities, for meeting expectations that you feel like you're obligated to meet or that you're responsible for. It's for taking care of your kids, your husband, your family, your wife, friends, work, whatever might be on your list after yourself. Now, I know I was raised, and certainly having this conversation with a lot of other people in my office and, well, in other ways, what people will often say is, well, people do view me as selfish. And if anybody needs a doctor to say to you, or to like write you a note of some kind to say, take care of you first, that it's a prescription, that it's a requirement, I will absolutely do that, because you have to choose to put yourself first. And that is the way I know I was raised. It was the way I saw my family members act, certainly my mother, my grandmother. I know women tend to express this more often than men, as far as there was an expectation to put others before yourself, to put others' comfort, to put others' well-being before yourself. And I'm here to say, don't do it. Put yourself as your number one priority. Because when you do that, not only, again, do you fill your cup and take care of you, but then you have more to support and take care of others, as I mentioned. Now, I know there are a few people who have joined since I initially started talking. If there is anything that you have questions about, if there's anything that you have comments about, or you want to say, want to know about, feel free to type in questions. Feel free to, to share them, to ask them, because I will absolutely respond to them in the course of this live, or certainly after if need be. So, if you are someone who, in hearing this, says, no, I can't do that. And I've had people say that to me. And I know at times, even telling myself that what I was doing was the best thing by putting myself first. I know that can be challenging. I know that, especially if we've been living for decades, and that's usually the case, decades in a particular way, in this case, putting everybody else first, yes, it's going to take maybe some effort, some time. It's going to take being conscious and aware and making different choices. It's going to require you probably to step outside your comfort zone into, well, areas that you might get flack for it. People may not respond to it well initially. If somebody is used to you doing for them, taking care of them, handling lots of responsibilities, and now all of a sudden, it seems, you're putting yourself first, which means you're probably saying no more often, or you're communicating that, yes, you've handled such and such responsibility for a long period of time, but that is not something that you're going to be able to do either in that moment or continue to do. You're probably going to get, well, somebody's probably going to have something to say. And I mention that because I want you to be prepared. I don't want you to be shocked or upset when someone doesn't respond necessarily kindly or in a supportive manner when you say no, or when you say, I'm not going to be handling that this time, or putting some other boundaries in place. We, over the period of time that we have been taking care of others, we have essentially trained them to treat us in a particular manner. We've trained them to expect certain things from us. And now we're changing those expectations. We're changing our boundaries. And that often makes people uncomfortable. So just be prepared for that. Now, if you've done that, or you're thinking like, okay, I'm going to try this. I am going to put myself as number one. I am going to make myself a priority. One of the first things that you can start to do in making yourself a priority is determining what it is that is best for you. And one of the ways that I recommend going about doing this is putting a list somewhere that's easy access. It might be on your refrigerator, it might be on your bathroom mirror, on your dresser, in your car, it might be on your phone. And the reason I say something that you want to easily access is anytime we're making changes, anytime we're making new choices, we want to do it in a way that's easy, that's simple. Change in itself can be stressful. It can be anxiety producing for some people. Your brain might be going, no, 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 I don't want change. Even while another part of you says this change would be good. So whenever we are making choices or making decisions to incorporate a change, do something new, we want to keep it simple. We want to have it be easy. And so with this list, as you start trying to figure out how to make yourself a priority, you can put things on this list as they come to mind, as they come into your awareness, as you hear something, do something, and you go, ooh, I like the sound of that. Add it to your list. Or you might think, okay, this is something that I want, but I'm not quite ready to take that step yet. Add it to your list. 1, it keeps it in your awareness. 2, sometimes when we get caught up in our head, certainly in the course of change, we forget these nuggets of goodness that came into our mind. It comes in and it goes out. That stress and that monkey mind that can take over at times gets in the way. So keep it simple. And do it in a way that, well, that you're okay with. I won't say comfortable with, because anytime that, again, that we're making changes, that we're doing something for ourselves that is a change in pattern, if we've put everybody else first, then to now put yourself first may take some time. It may be a process. It may be a process. And we want to keep it simple. Now, as I mentioned, I don't know if anybody else has joined, and I was just checking. Let me see. Okay, no comments or questions at this point. But if you have comments or questions, feel free to ask. And whether it's you're watching this live or you're watching it at some point later in the future, and you're wanting to know more. Now, of course, the topic of this live tonight is love yourself to health and wealth. And you might be thinking, okay, you've given me some ideas on what I can do. Again, those ideas are, the first one, putting yourself as priority. You are number one. You take care of yourself first, which is selfful, not selfish. It means, yes, living from an overflowing cup. Everything in the cup is for you. Everything that overflows after taking care of yourself goes to everyone else. Everyone else, other responsibilities, work, family, friends, kids, whatever else might be in your life. And it may mean starting to say no. It may mean putting some boundaries in place. And I gave you the heads up on when you start to say no, when you start to put boundaries in place, people may not be ready for that. They may not be expecting that. They may not be too thrilled with that. So just know that that's a heads up. And don't go in necessarily expecting that they're going to be mad or that's going to be awful. Communicate from your heart that for you to continue to support them, for you to continue to take care of them, whatever the case might be, that you're going to take care of yourself first, so that way you're at your best to take care of them. Again, in whatever way that might be. So you might be thinking, well, how does this get us to health or wealth, or improve our health, or improve our wealth? Now, the first thing I would say is, if we are running ourselves ragged, I know a lot of people who are almost incapable of saying no. They talk about the drama in their lives. They talk about all the things that they've got to do, this never-ending list. they seem to be frantic, or they're juggling so many balls. There's so many things that they're trying to keep moving and functioning and up in the air, and they don't know, well, they don't know how they're going to continue to get it all done. What I say to that is, where does health fit in? Even if you might somehow get going to the gym in there, or some kind of exercise in there, or maybe you're eating fairly decently or even well. If your body is constantly in a stressed mode, it's essentially living in a survival mode. Our ability to heal, our ability for our immune system to function at its optimal, our ability to absorb nutrients from the food that we eat, our ability to sleep, all of those things are compromised because our body is in a state of fight or flight, and well, our immune system cannot function in fight or flight. Our body cannot absorb nutrients, certainly not as well when we're in fight or flight. We're in this constant state of tension. That's not good for our body. It's not good for our being. And it's not just not good for our muscles. It's not good for our organs. It's not good overall. So we really want to be able to help our body and support our body moving into a more relaxed state, a state of ease. And that in itself can lead to health. It can provide us with more energy. It can provide us with better sleep, for instance, which again provides us with more energy. During good sleep, we're going to have restorative processes that take place, and we can get optimal function during that, and again, get better results for how our body is capable of taking care of itself during the course of sleep. All of these steps, or all of these things that we do to put ourselves first, lead to an increase in health, even if we don't do anything else. But what you'll start to notice is other opportunities to take care of yourself will start to open up, other possibilities, and you'll start looking at yourself differently. So that's certainly a number of ways that putting yourself first can lead to health, even if you don't make any other changes. Now, how does it lead to wealth? You might be thinking like, okay, that's a stretch. I'm sure there was at one point that I thought it was a stretch too. But again, if we are running around crazy and have so much going on and we're putting everybody else first, at some point your body is going to start letting you know there's a problem. I know people who they start developing pain, whether it's from sitting a lot or just being so stressed. They will get headaches. Different things will start showing up in their body and being communicated in their body. And as a result, what are they doing? They start taking an Advil here, Tylenol, something to alleviate the pain, which starts this cycle of covering up what the body's trying to communicate with us. And at that point, what the body is literally trying to communicate is it's not okay, and it needs your help, and it needs your support. It needs to be taken care of. So let me just check here. Okay, I wanted to check my messages and making sure that nobody was sending me questions or comments. Okay, so as I was saying, if our health is compromised, if the pace that we're going, if what we're doing, if we're, again, in that stressed, tense survival mode, the energy, the focus, the clarity, the creativity that we could access gets compromised. And as a result, money doesn't flow to us, doesn't flow to us, through us, doesn't come to us with ease. it can get stuck, it can get stagnant. From my experience and from working with others, one of the things that I've seen and one of the things that people report back to me is they can have their best months in business, their best months at work. Income can start coming in from places that they didn't expect. And the only thing that they changed was putting themselves first and taking care of themselves. So taking care of your health can absolutely lead to more wealth. Of course, another clear way that loving yourself can lead to health, which can lead to wealth. How many of you know someone, and you might even be in this position yourself, that as you continue to, get older, celebrate more birthdays, you start to notice that you're not feeling so good in your body, that the way I describe it, you're starting to degenerate into your older years. And I know a lot of people say, well, isn't this something that just happens as you get older? I say no, it is not something that just happens. I work with a lot of people who are vital and vibrant in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and almost 80s. So that is not an absolute in any way, shape, or form. So what I would say with that is, as long as your body continues to show signs that it's not doing okay, what I see happening as people get older is they require more and more doctor's visits, more and more medications, more and more specialists, more and more surgeries, and their health continues to decline. So any money they have made, or a lot of the money they have made in all those years of working their butt off and putting other things first and not their self as the priority, they're now paying out in medical expenses. So, number one tip, make yourself your priority, and as a result, make decisions in your life every day where you are your number one priority. Again, I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions, comments, feel free to post them below the video. I will absolutely get back to you. And if any of this resonates with you and you're wondering how you can literally love yourself to health and wealth, and that sounds like something you're interested in, go to my website, theintuitivephoenix.com, and sign up for a complimentary consultation. And we can get on the phone and chat and see how I can help you, support you to loving yourself to health and wealth. It works, and I'd love to talk to you about it. So again, go to my website, theintuitivephoenix.com, and sign up for your complimentary consultation and learn how you can love yourself to health and wealth. I'd love to talk to you. I look forward to talking to you. And this Facebook Live, I'll do this every Wednesday night. It'll be another tip to loving yourself to health and wealth. So if you like this or you're interested in the next tip, join me next week at the same time, 7 o'clock. And also, I am holding a Facebook Live Sunday evenings, 6:30. And on Sundays, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share personal stories of my own and examples of actual people, how they have loved themselves to health and wealth, things that they have done, and experiences and transformations that have occurred as a result, what they've discovered, what shifted, what's changed, that have led to health and wealth in my life and in their life. Again, you'll hear first-hand knowledge and experience about it. Okay, I'm seeing a question. Anna says, is the list that you speak about a list of changes that you want to make? That's a great question. Now, the list that I'm talking about is, well, it's going to vary honestly from person to person, depending on whether or not you know how do I word this? Okay, so if you're someone who this is the first time that you have thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to try to make myself a priority. I'm not really sure how to do that. I'm not really sure what that would look like. I almost don't know where to begin, but I'm going to start because yes, this sounds like something that I need to do because I absolutely put everybody else first, to give you an example. So it's almost like you're starting from scratch. Your list would be put up, and anything that you think, oh, this would be a way I could put myself first, add it to the list. Or, you know what, I think I need some guidance or some boundaries around, well, saying no. Hey, Erin, welcome. I need to learn how to say no, or I need to, figure out how to say no. You might add that to your list. It might be, well, I'd like to make some better choices about what I eat. And you could add that to the list. So it would be options or possibilities of ways that you could make yourself a priority. Another one that I think is important for everybody's list is, does your schedule, if you look at everything that you have scheduled, does your schedule show you that you are your number one priority? Do you have time in your schedule for you? And so something that might go on the list is, look at my schedule and where can I schedule time for myself? Now, if you are someone who you've been making changes, again, your eating is pretty good, or even really good, or you do exercise regularly, and that, you're somewhere further along on the path of health, and you maybe have started taking steps to making yourself priority, but you know that there's room for progress or improvement. Your list may include some different things. It might be, okay, a person's coming to mind. They take care of their physical health really well. But what they realize is they don't really have too much awareness about their emotional health. Or they know that from what they're reading and what they're hearing, that how they're expressing their emotions, are they expressing their emotions, is important, but yet they're not really comfortable doing it. So on their list, they may, well, one, they may just put on their list emotional health, because that would be a start. Excuse me. Because for some people, stepping into emotions can be scary, or stepping into thinking about expressing their emotions may be scary. And so even just putting it on the list is a step for them. But you would put that on your list. It might be, let me see what else I could put if you're further along. Well, I might look into podcasts or books that may help me along with that. Or ask around to people. And it might be a little bit of a to-do list. Ask people, what can I do if I want to learn more about emotional health? Another example that you might put on your list might be, reevaluate my schedule and see, okay, I think I put myself in the schedule, but do you really? That's what I find often for myself and for others, is they think they're doing a pretty good job putting themselves first, but when they start to actually evaluate what is happening, that's not the case. So on your list, I would say reevaluate your schedule. And that may be, you keep track of what you do and how long you do it each week for a period of time. Or one of the things that I did this past weekend was I sat down and looked at my expenses for the last couple of months to evaluate where was my money going. And then part of the questions, or the series of questions that I asked myself at once I had those numbers in front of me and did some calculations was, okay, am I putting money towards self-care? Am I putting money towards my health? Am I making myself my priority? So money evaluation may go on your list, because if you're putting money to everything else but you, then that would be an area to look at. Because when I think of putting myself first, I'm thinking time, I'm thinking resources, I'm thinking money. I'm not just thinking like physical health. I'm thinking all aspects of my health, and from a number of different perspectives, as I mentioned. Certainly physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, but then also looking at time, looking at money, looking at resources. Where is my priority lie? And do they match up? So that would be something else I'd put on my list. Does that make sense, Anna? So the list really can be used in a way to support you, make it personal to you. And what I've said to people, and I'll put this out there too, if you're wondering, shoot me your list and we can touch base about it. Or again, go to my website, theintuitivephoenix.com, schedule a complimentary consultation with me, and it's something that we can touch base on. Because you can ask, I'd say ask some of the people that I work with, and okay, great, you're welcome. You can ask some of the people that I've worked with that using lists, checking in on lists, following up with lists, or goals, intentions, affirmations, the direction that we want to move forward, that's absolutely a part of what I work with people on, is gaining clarity on where is it time to put your effort in, or where can you put more attention, where can you, again, make yourself your priority. It's absolutely some of the things that I discuss when working with people. Hey, Amanda, welcome. Now, I was getting ready to wrap up here, but I will, again, highlight some of what I've talked about tonight. Of course, the topic is loving yourself to health and wealth. And tonight's topic is, every Wednesday is tips and tools to loving yourself to health and wealth. Every Sunday, I'm going to share personal stories, mine or others who I have permission to share, of real examples of people who have loved themselves to health and wealth, and what they've done and what they've noticed, what they've experienced as differences. Now tonight, the number one tool, or the tool that I discussed tonight, is making yourself a priority. And filling your cup first, and then whatever overflows, whatever's in the cup is for you, whatever overflows is for others. Now, whether you currently work with me, have worked with me in the past, have never worked with me before, you're working with other healers, other coaches, you're doing the work on your own, whatever the case might be, what I would say, if you are listening to this, you're watching this, and you're thinking, oh, I do this. Give yourself the time, give yourself that priority to really look at your schedule, your finances, the choices that you're making, to see, do I just think I'm putting myself first, or am I actually putting myself first? I say that because we can get going, things are going along really well because we've made the decision at some point in the past to put ourselves first. We're going to take care of ourselves, and that's all great and good, and it's going really well. And then life happens. Things shift, things change. There's some transition. I know for me, earlier this year, I got married. Yeah, it changes a lot of things. There's all the planning and the family and everything beforehand, and then, of course, the big day, and things change after. They're different. So if you have not reevaluated or even evaluated whether or not you're putting yourself first and what that looks like and what your schedule looks like to support that for all areas of your health, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, it's time to do that. Take the time to do that. Because that will show you, either confirm, and if it confirms that you are in fact putting yourself first, great, awesome, celebrate that. And if not, then you know what areas to tweak, to address. Check in on, maybe kind of get back on track, or create a new track for it, depending on, whatever that might be. And then continue from there. And as I also mentioned, let's see, number one priority, you are the number one priority. Fill your cup, overflowing cup, and then see how that shifts into other areas of your life for your health to improve and for your wealth to improve as well. I don't know about anybody else, but I absolutely can say that as I take care of myself, when I take care of myself, since I put myself a priority, each year my wealth continues to improve once I put myself as my number one priority. So as always, if you have questions or comments, whether you're watching this live or watching it at a later time, feel free to put comments or questions below the video. And if any of this resonates, you want to know more, you want to see how I work with people to support them to health and wealth through loving themselves, then go to my website, The Intuitive Phoenix, and sign up for a complimentary consultation. And absolutely come back on Sunday when I share personal stories about loving myself to health and wealth, and next Wednesday when I share more tips and tools to loving yourself to health and wealth. It was great. I'm grateful for everyone who joined me tonight and who had questions and comments, and I look forward to connecting with you next time. All right, I'm sending love and health and transformation to you. Have a great night, and of course, be safe wherever you might be and this hurricane and how it might be affecting you, and I'll talk to you later.